Hello to one, hello to all. In this session, I'm going to talk about my family history and timelines. It is a gathering of knowledge from my own and my siblings' memories. Some could be guesswork, as my parents are no longer here to verify the details. If I don't note it down now, a member of the future generation will have to do more guesswork. Our parents were born in China in the 1930s and probably had to flee to northern Vietnam in the late 1940s, around the time of an all-out civil war between the nationalist and communist parties. My father was from Guangdong province and my mother was from Guangxi province. I am guessing Haiphong had a lot of work for manual laborers, as it is like most major cities in the West, with a big river running through its heart. So it needs a lot of people to carry items onto and off ships. Unfortunately, that was also the reason it was the most bombed out city during the Vietnam War. The Soviet Union and China supported Vietnam by supplying ammunition through that same river. Our paternal grandparents had 3 kids, and they were all boys, with our father as the eldest and least educated. Our second uncle was a well-educated man, as he had quite an important role in the local government office. He married a Vietnamese lady and stayed back in Vietnam when we had to go back to China. But our paths will cross again in the near future. Our youngest paternal uncle was a carpenter. I think he made all the furniture in our home himself. I never saw him again after we left Vietnam, as he married a Vietnamese lady and also stayed back. Our maternal grandparents also had 3 kids, a girl and 2 boys, with our mother as the eldest and least educated. I know very little about the uncles on our mother's side. I don't remember much about my paternal grandparents, as by the time I was old enough to have some kind of normal memory, they had passed away. Like I said in the previous episode, regarding having the coffin in our home. So, I have no idea at all what their profession was and if they had one, or what they were like as people. Our maternal grandparents both went back to China with us because our grandfather gave us a lot of happy memories around campfires in the evenings, when there was nothing on in the village in China. The thing was, I was not sure if our maternal grandfather was like a normal grandfather, as what we used to call him had an extra word in front of grandfather. I don't know how to write it in Chinese, so I can't find out. Also, back then in China, I am sure it was normal for a man to have more than one wife. Our maternal grandfather was a super talented man, as I heard a lot about him while growing up. He probably had his martial arts school in China before fleeing there. As I heard, he took down 10 policemen by himself in a market in Vietnam. Also, when the French were kicked out of Vietnam, in the 1950s, he was asked by them if he wanted to go to France to live. He was also well educated, as he used to tell strange and weird stories to us kids in the evenings around campfires. Often, he would mimic the kung fu moves when the stories required it. Can you imagine what it was like having a fighter describing the actual moves in the stories? We only had one television in the whole village, and most nights there were no gatherings. He was also a fortune teller. Just by knowing your date of birth, he can predict the future by counting the phalanges on his fingers from your birth date. I think he was a kind of a gift for a certain family every few generations. Sadly, no one was powerful enough to receive any of his wisdom and life experiences. My parents have 6 kids. I have 2 older brothers, then 2 older sisters. After me was our youngest brother. And in Chinese families, only the oldest and the youngest have much significance. The middle ones go through life with little expectations and love from their parents. I have no clue where we settled down in China. All I can remember is that life was a little bit better in terms of food and schooling. Both our parents were working in the fields daily. And every month, the family gets a sack of rice and a piece of meat. All my siblings and I attended school without our parents having to worry about finding the money for it. Life was going well for about a year, give or take a month. Then I started hearing stories about how my mother got into many arguments with local people, telling her to go back to Vietnam. Humans, what can I say? Around the same time, our second paternal uncle, who stayed behind a year earlier, contacted our parents and told us he and some of his mates have banded together to build a boat and is on their way to Hong Kong, but will be docking in the south of China to refuel before the second leg of their journey. If anyone wants to tag along, we are welcome to join them. I guess the arguments my mother had were pretty untenable, as my eldest brothers and our father decided to try their luck. That paternal uncle couldn't have children, so he requested a younger child to come so they could adopt one as their own. Our youngest brother was ideal, but he was too young, so I volunteered to take his place. Little did I know what I was letting myself in for, but that was also an advantage. As the saying goes, what you don't know can't hurt you. This saying definitely described my ignorance perfectly this time, as I was still quite young. By the time I realized what I went through during this trip to Hong Kong, it was like the dangers in Vietnam years before was just a light training session. There we go. Pretty less than ordinary lives for the past 3 generations, apart from our maternal grandfather. In my opinion, he was not very adventurous, as he didn't move to France when he had the chance. I sometimes wondered what our lives would have been like if he took the plunge. Anyway, we'll bring this session to a close now. Our journey to the West will continue in the next episode.